At 82, I've made tons of choices in my long life, but there's one decision I deeply regret more than anything else: giving up my freedom for what I thought was safety. Moving into a nursing home seemed like a smart move when my family pushed for it. They swore I'd get the best care, total comfort, and zero worries. Boy, were they wrong. What they never mentioned, and maybe didn't even know, was how much of myself I'd lose once those doors closed behind me. I see you watching this video, maybe thinking about this same choice for yourself or someone you really care about. You might believe it's the safest option, or perhaps everyone's been telling you it'll make everything easier. Let me stop you right there. Before you make this massive life-changing decision, I absolutely need to share 6 shocking truths I wish someone had warned me about. Trust me on this. Once you walk through those nursing home doors, finding your way back out is like trying to escape quicksand. The deeper you sink, the harder it gets. The first truth hit me like a truck, the gut punch feeling of suddenly losing all my independence. Before the nursing home, my life was actually mine. I decided when to roll out of bed, what tasty food to cook, and exactly how to spend every single minute of my day. I could grab my coat for a walk whenever the mood hit me, whip up my secret recipe pasta that my grandkids begged for, or just curl up with a juicy mystery novel at 3 a.m. if I couldn't sleep. Nobody told me what to do or when to do it. That freedom was like oxygen. I didn't even notice it until it was gone. But within just 3 days of moving in, I realized something terrible. My time, my choices, my very life didn't belong to me anymore. Not even close. Everything, and I mean absolutely everything, runs on their schedule, never yours. Breakfast shows up at 7 a.m. sharp, whether your stomach's growling or not. Don't feel like eating yet? Too bad, it'll be cold later. Lights go out at 10 p.m. even if you're wide awake and in the middle of your favorite TV show. Feeling cooped up and want to feel real sunshine warming your skin? Well, get ready to practically beg for permission and then wait around until some staff member has time to walk with you. Even tiny everyday choices that you never thought twice about. Picking out your own clothes, choosing what to eat, deciding when to take a shower, suddenly feel like special privileges they're doing you a favor by allowing. It's like being a child again, except with arthritis and no recess. I remember my very first week there so clearly, waking up totally confused in a strange bed that felt all wrong. I automatically reached over for the mystery novel I'd been reading the night before at home, the one with the detective I'd been following through 6 books now, but my hand just found empty air. The book wasn't there. And then it hit me like ice water. Nothing was there. Not my dog-eared books with all my favorite parts marked, not my super comfy recliner that knew the exact shape of my body, not the little treasures and keepsakes I'd carefully collected over 8 decades of living. All gone. Instead, I was surrounded by blank, boring walls the color of old oatmeal, furniture that looked like it came straight from a catalog's generic old people section, and the absolutely crushing realization that slammed into my chest. I wasn't the main character in my own life story anymore. I'd been demoted to an extra, a background character in someone else's script. And here's the hardest part that nobody warns you about. Once you hand over your independence, getting it back is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. It's practically impossible. You start adapting because, honestly, what choice do you have? You gradually stop complaining about the bland, mushy food that all tastes the same. You quit asking for walks outside because you're tired of hearing maybe later that never happens. You eventually stop expecting to make even the smallest choices for yourself. Day by day, you learn to squeeze yourself into their system just to avoid causing trouble. But in that process, and this is the truly heartbreaking part, you start losing pieces of the person you've always been. Your personality, your preferences, your little quirks and habits, they slowly fade away until sometimes you catch yourself in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back at you. The second harsh truth snuck up on me slowly, that awful, empty feeling of being completely forgotten by the outside world. When I first arrived at the home, I won't lie, my family did visit pretty regularly. My daughter Sarah would come every Tuesday like clockwork, bringing those lemon cookies I love. My grandkids would pop in on weekends, showing me pictures on their phones and filling me in on all their adventures. For those first few months, I still felt like I had one foot in my old life, like I still mattered to the people I love most. But then things changed. So gradually, I almost didn't notice at first, until suddenly I couldn't ignore it anymore. Sarah's weekly visits turned into every other week, then once a month, then just phone calls. Quick ones where I could hear her doing dishes or checking emails while we talked. "Just swamped at work, Mom," became her favorite excuse. My grandkids, the same ones who used to beg to sleep over at my house, suddenly got super busy with school and sports and friends. Their visits disappeared almost completely, replaced with occasional texts that felt like afterthoughts. And the holidays? My God, the holidays became the absolute worst days of the year. Christmas, Thanksgiving, my birthday, days that used to be filled with noisy family gatherings, with my special recipes everyone requested, with little ones running around my house. These became the most painful reminders of how much my life had changed. Everyone would promise they'd come visit. "We'll be there around noon, Mom. Save room for pie, Grandma." But then, like clockwork, the apologetic calls would come. Someone got a cold, the roads were slippery, work called someone in. Excuses piled up like snow, while I sat alone in that depressing common room, watching other residents staring hopefully at the entrance door, all of us pretending we weren't counting the minutes until someone, anyone, might remember we existed. The third truth blindsided me completely. I suddenly lost my entire sense of purpose, the feeling that I mattered at all. I never once realized how much meaning I got from simple everyday tasks until they were snatched away overnight. Back home, I had my little routines that gave shape to each day. I had real hobbies. I had actual reasons to drag myself out of bed each morning, even on the days when my arthritis was flaring up something awful. Even the tiny jobs most people complain about. Watering my windowsill herbs and watching them grow a little each day, grinding fresh coffee beans for that perfect morning cup, keeping my little house tidy just the way I liked it. These small things gave my days structure and real meaning. They were my tasks. They needed me specifically to do them. But in the nursing home, all those meaningful rituals vanished literally overnight. Meals just appeared on trays like magic. No planning, no cooking, no satisfaction of seeing someone enjoy something you made with your own hands. Cleaning was somebody else's job, and trust me, they let you know quick if you tried to interfere with their work. Even the sad-looking plants in the common room weren't mine to care for. The one time I tried watering a drooping fern, a nurse practically slapped my hand away. "Mr. Jenkins will handle that on Thursday." I'll admit, for maybe the first 3 days, I tried convincing myself this would be nice. Finally, a chance to relax after decades of taking care of others and my home. No more chores, just peaceful rest. What a joke that turned out to be. After just 2 weeks, this horrible empty feeling settled deep in my chest. The days stretched out like an endless desert with absolutely nothing meaningful to fill them. Nothing that needed me specifically. Nothing that would go undone if I simply didn't exist anymore. I wasn't the only one drowning in this feeling, not by a long shot. Right across the hall was George, this amazing 84-year-old former carpenter with hands so skilled they could coax beauty out of a plain block of wood. For over 60 years, those hands had built everything from rocking chairs to entire house additions. George told me that back home, he was always working on some project in his garage, birdhouses for his neighbors, a special toy chest for a new grandchild, fixing things that anyone else would have thrown away. His rough, calloused hands were always creating, always useful, but here in the nursing home, those same talented hands just lay useless in his lap day after day. I'll never forget what he told me about 3 months in, his voice so quiet I had to lean forward to hear him. "These hands don't know what to do with themselves anymore. I feel completely useless, like I'm already dead, but my body hasn't gotten the news yet." The worst part was watching the light in his bright blue eyes, once so full of ideas and plans, slowly dim like a bulb burning out. That's what happens to all of us here, see? When you no longer have something meaningful to create or someone who genuinely needs you, when your skills and knowledge suddenly don't matter to anyone, life starts losing its flavor like gum chewed too long. First, your mind slows down because there's no reason for it to stay sharp. Then your body follows right behind. Before you know it, you've transformed from the person you've been your whole life into just another interchangeable resident in a place where time passes but nothing, absolutely nothing, truly happens or matters. The fourth truth knocked me flat on my back. How insanely fast my health went downhill once I stopped moving regularly. Before the nursing home, I was actually pretty darn fit for 82. I mean, I wasn't running marathons or lifting weights or anything crazy, but I was definitely taking good care of myself. I had all these little daily routines that kept me moving without me even realizing it. Walking to the corner store for my groceries, doing my morning stretches while watching the news, even just puttering around my house watering plants or doing laundry kept my body working properly. But once I moved into this place, everything, and I mean everything, that had kept me strong and capable started disappearing faster than cookies at a church social. Having meals delivered right to me meant no more standing at the kitchen counter chopping vegetables or stirring pots. Those convenient call buttons meant no more getting up to grab things I needed. What the sales brochure called effortless living was actually robbing me of all the movement my body desperately needed to stay working. The change happened so fast it scared me. Within just 3 months, I felt my leg muscles turning to jelly. My joints got stiffer than old glue. Simple things like standing up from a chair, something I never even thought about before, suddenly became a major struggle requiring real effort. Basic actions that had been as natural as breathing, picking something up off the floor, reaching a high shelf, walking down the hallway, now often required someone's help. I was shocked how quickly it happened, like my body was racing toward becoming helpless. And trust me, it wasn't just happening to me. Look at Alice, this firecracker of an 81-year-old woman who moved in during the same week I did. When she first arrived, Alice was a walking machine. She'd zip around the entire facility 3 times every single morning, wearing her bright red sneakers and telling anyone who'd listen that she wasn't about to turn into one of those old people who just sit around waiting to die. She even used to tease the staff, racing them down the hallways. But I watched in horror as week by week, Alice's walking routine started shrinking. First, she cut back to just 1 lap around the place. Then she started taking long breaks on the benches. A month later, she reluctantly accepted a walker after a small fall scared her. By month 3, Alice, the same woman who used to power walk through the halls, was being pushed around in a wheelchair, looking smaller somehow, like she was disappearing right before my eyes. I'll never forget what she said to me one afternoon as we sat in the sunroom watching rain streak the windows. She turned to me with this confused look on her face and whispered, "Franny, I don't understand when or how this happened. I swear I feel like I aged 10 whole years in just a few months in this place." Those words gave me chills because that's exactly how it felt. Like some kind of accelerated super aging that kicks in when your body isn't needed anymore for basic survival. It's like your muscles and joints figure out they're not essential equipment anymore, so they just start shutting down operations. Use it or lose it isn't just a cute saying, it's the brutal truth about aging bodies. The 5th truth cut right to my core, the total loss of basic privacy and simple human dignity. Back home, my space was actually mine in every sense of the word. I could close my bedroom door whenever I wanted some quiet time. I could enjoy perfect silence if that's what I needed. I could handle personal, private matters in, well, private. No one burst in while I was changing clothes or using the bathroom. No one watched me while I ate to make sure I was consuming adequate nutrition. But in the nursing home, privacy isn't a basic right. It's a rare luxury that you might occasionally be granted if you're lucky. Staff members walk right into your room with these fake little half-knocks that don't actually wait for your answer. Scheduled wellness checks happen no matter what you're doing, sleeping, praying, crying, whatever, and those shared common spaces mean you're practically never truly alone with your thoughts. Someone is always watching, always evaluating, always nearby. The worst part, and this is hard to even talk about, is how even the most personal, intimate activities suddenly require other people's help. Things like getting dressed, taking a shower, or even using the toilet activities you've handled by yourself since you were a little kid, now often need assistance from strangers. Yes, most of the staff try to be professional about it, but there's absolutely no escaping the deep humiliation of needing someone to help you wipe yourself in the bathroom when you've been handling that particular task just fine for over 80 years. I still remember my first week, struggling to wrap my head around the insane idea that I needed to ask permission from another adult human being to do basic human functions. Want to freshen up with a shower? Well, you'll just have to sit tight until someone has time in their busy schedule to help you. Feeling an urgent need to use the bathroom? Better press that call button and pray to whatever God you believe in that someone responds before your dignity gets flushed down along with your self-respect. And then there's the nightmare of roommates. Big shocker. Not everyone gets a private room. Far from it. Most of us get stuck sharing our tiny living space with a complete stranger, someone you didn't choose, never met before, and might have absolutely nothing in common with except your zip code at the nursing home. Imagine being forced to live with a random person from the street at the most vulnerable time in your life. That's exactly what it's like. I got extremely lucky with my roommate Martha, who's quiet and respects boundaries as much as possible in our shoebox room. But many others weren't so fortunate. Poor Hank down the hall got stuck with a roommate who blasts the TV at full volume all night long because he's nearly deaf, but refuses to wear hearing aids. Edith in the East Wing shares space with a woman who hasn't bathed voluntarily in months despite staff efforts. And then there's Richard, whose roommate has severe dementia and wakes up screaming about burglars almost every night at 3 a.m. Here's the sad truth. No matter how hard you try to make your tiny corner feel like your own space, putting up family photos, bringing your special quilt from home, arranging your few remaining possessions just so, it never truly becomes yours. It's just the space they've temporarily assigned to you, subject to change if management decides it's necessary. Your basic human dignity takes a beating every single day. It erodes like a sandcastle at high tide when people barge in without waiting for your response. When they talk about you in the third person while you're sitting right there, has she had her medications yet? When they speak to you like you're either a disobedient child or a particularly slow pet, and when they completely control every aspect of your daily rhythm. Slowly but surely, you start feeling less like Mary or Frank or whatever your name is, the person you've been your whole life, and more like just another faceless name on their clipboard, another task to check off before break time. The sixth and probably cruelest truth of all, discovering how insanely difficult, nearly impossible actually, it is to leave once you've moved in. When I first agreed to this whole nursing home arrangement, I 100% convinced myself it was just temporary. A trial run. I honestly thought if I don't like it here, I'll just pack up and head back home. Simple as that. Oh boy, was I ever wrong about that. What absolutely no one bothers explaining during those glossy facility tours is how terrifyingly fast your escape options start disappearing. My little house, the one I'd lived in for 43 years and raised my children in, sat empty while I was stuck here. It started having problems almost immediately. The water heater leaked, damaging the floor. The yard grew wild. The gutters filled with leaves and overflowed. All these little maintenance issues became 10 times harder to handle from a distance, especially when I wasn't there to make decisions or oversee repairs. Meanwhile, my well-meaning children, at least I keep telling myself they meant well, started helping by getting rid of stuff they decided I wouldn't need anymore. My daughter called one day all excited. "Great news, Mom! We cleared out the attic and basement and had a massive yard sale. The house looks so much better now." My heart sank. They'd sold family heirlooms, photos, Christmas decorations I'd collected for decades, without even asking which things mattered to me. Then came the real bombshell. They were just discussing possibly renting out my house to help with the nursing home expenses. When I worked up the courage to mention that I was thinking about going back home, you should have seen their faces. They exchanged these worried looks like I'd suggested bungee jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. "Mom, are you absolutely sure you could manage on your own? Wouldn't it be much safer here where people can watch you? We just want what's best for you." Translation. That would be incredibly inconvenient for us now that we've started dismantling your life. But the final nail in the coffin was my own body's betrayal. After just 4 or 5 months of not cooking my own meals, not cleaning my own space, not walking more than the short distance from my bed to the bathroom, I simply wasn't as capable as I had been before. The basic independence I once completely took for granted had slipped away like water through my fingers. Everyday tasks that used to be no problem now seemed overwhelming. Could I really manage grocery shopping? Could I safely take a shower without help? The harsh truth is, fear kept me trapped in a situation I never truly wanted. Fear of falling, fear of failing, fear of proving my children right about me not being able to take care of myself anymore. I'm far from alone in this trap. So many others here shared almost identical experiences with me. They thought they'd just try out nursing home life for a little while, maybe after a hospital stay or a bad fall, only to find themselves completely unable to leave. Some lost the option entirely when their homes were sold out from under them to pay for care costs, or when their life savings got completely drained by the astronomical monthly fees here. Did you know nursing homes can cost between $7,000 to $12,000 per month in some places? Most people have no idea until they're already moved in. The really scary part is this. The longer you stay in this place, the harder it becomes to even imagine life outside these walls. The nursing home slowly becomes your entire world, your only reality. The life you had before, with its freedom and dignity and purpose, starts feeling more like a movie you watched a long time ago than something you actually lived. Your old routines, favorite restaurants, familiar neighbors, all of it fades like old photographs left in the sun. Before you know it, you can't quite remember what your kitchen looked like or how it felt to wake up in your own bed without someone checking your vital signs. Looking back now, I don't regret growing older. That's a special gift many people never get to experience. But I deeply, truly regret believing that a nursing home was my only choice when things got a little harder. I walked through those sliding glass doors expecting comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. What I found instead was a system that slowly but surely stripped away everything, and I mean everything, that made me who I am. My independence, my family connections, my sense of purpose, my dignity, and ultimately, my very identity as a person who matters in this world. Does this mean all nursing homes are horrible places that should be avoided at all costs? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely do need the intensive level of medical care that only these facilities can provide. If you've had a massive stroke or severe dementia or need constant medical supervision, they might truly be your best option. But here's what I desperately want you to understand before you make this life-changing decision. Really think hard about what you're giving up. Don't just focus on what you might gain, because once you cross that threshold, your life will change in ways you absolutely cannot fully anticipate right now, no matter how many brochures you read or tours you take. If I could magically go back in time and do things differently, I would have fought tooth and nail to stay in my own home. I would have researched every possible alternative in-home care workers who could visit daily, meal delivery services, medical alert systems, community senior programs, family care rotations, literally anything to help me maintain my independence while still getting the help I needed. I would have made absolutely sure I truly needed nursing home care before ever making such a permanent, life-altering move. And if you're facing this decision right now, whether for yourself or someone you love deeply, I'm begging you to ask the tough questions. Is this truly, honestly necessary right now? Or is it just what seems most convenient or easiest in the moment? Is this really the only option? Or are there alternatives you haven't fully explored? Because the life you have today, with all your familiar routines, your precious independence, your freedom to make simple choices, that life is worth fighting to keep for as long as humanly possible. Take it from someone who gave it all up too easily and has regretted it every single day since. Once it's gone, you'll finally understand exactly what I mean. But by then, it might be too late to go back.